What would you do if 2 police officers showed up at your door because you changed your Wi-Fi password? That's exactly what happened to one homeowner, and the story that unfolded behind that one simple action revealed something absolutely shocking happening in his neighborhood. The thing is, he had no idea that this one moment would expose years of illegal surveillance, fraud, and abuse of power that affected dozens of families. Let me tell you how changing a password became the beginning of the end for an HOA president who thought she was untouchable. Do you want to know what happened when the police discovered the truth? Make sure to like this video right now, subscribe to our channel for more unbelievable real-life stories, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Let's go. It was a normal Tuesday evening. Our homeowner had done something completely routine, something that every IT expert on the planet recommends doing every single year. He changed his Wi-Fi password. That's it. That was the crime. He had noticed his internet running slower than usual, checked his bandwidth logs, saw some numbers that didn't match what he was doing, and ran a standard security update. New firmware, new network name, new password. 20 minutes while listening to the radio. Simple stuff. But that evening, something changed in his neighborhood forever. Because according to an HOA president named Karen, 3 security cameras had gone offline at exactly 6:47 p.m. And she was absolutely convinced she knew who did it. 2 officers appeared on his porch. They weren't knocking on the door anymore. They were standing there, waiting, like they'd been waiting for a while. Behind them stood Karen, arms folded, one finger pointed directly at his house. She was already mid-sentence, explaining to the officers that this man had deliberately taken down community security cameras. Criminal tampering, she said. She wanted him cited. She had the time stamp. She had printed it before calling 911. She had a folder with documents. Everything about her said this was serious, this was official, this was real. Our homeowner just wanted to know what she was talking about. Here's the thing about Karen. She had been the HOA board president for 6 years straight. On a 3-person board that technically required votes from 3 different people, the board consisted of Karen, her husband Dale, and a woman named Patrice who was Karen's best friend since childhood and who had apparently never voted against her once. 3 separate votes but really just one person making decisions and 2 people confirming them. The neighborhood had 94 homes. And under Karen's rule, everything was done her way. The wrong mailbox color got you a $250 fine. A guest vehicle parked 22 minutes over the limit got a fine notice taped directly to your windshield. Holiday lights left up one day past the January 7th takedown date meant getting a written warning, the first step on the formal escalation ladder. She had fined neighbors $800 for a windshield that wasn't even covered by any actual bylaw. She had issued fines that were so high that fighting them with a lawyer would cost more than just paying them. This was her system. It ran on making sure people gave up instead of pushing back. And it had been working perfectly until that night on the porch. If you're shocked by this already, you won't believe what comes next. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel immediately, and share this video with your friends because this story is about to get absolutely wild. Our homeowner stayed calm because there was nothing to be anything else about. He had changed a password on his own network. He'd checked the bylaw she cited. Section 7, Article 4 covered physical HOA equipment like gate motors and irrigation systems. It said nothing about private residential internet equipment. It said nothing about routers. That bylaw had been written to prevent people from tampering with shared mechanical infrastructure in the common areas, not something inside someone's own home. But here's what really caught his attention. Karen had just told 2 police officers in front of 4 neighbors that HOA cameras were connected to his private residential network. She said it like it was normal. Like it was authorized. Like something had simply been arranged. That made him wonder something simple but important. When and by whom? And how many other people on the street had been told about this? The police couldn't cite him. There was no violation. One officer explained this to Karen with more patience than most people could manage. She didn't like that answer. She walked back across the street and closed her door, and that's when our homeowner realized something. She had just handed him exactly what he needed to take her down. She had told him and 2 police officers and 4 witnesses that something she shouldn't know about existed. She had made her first real mistake. That night, he did something methodical. He sat at his kitchen table and opened his router's admin panel. He had never really looked at it carefully before. The log file went back 18 months. Raw data, timestamps, MAC addresses, connection durations. Every device that had ever connected to his network was recorded there automatically. Within minutes of scrolling, he found them. 3 MAC address sequences he didn't recognize. Not his phone, not his laptop, not anything he'd set up. These 3 addresses had been connected for 14 months straight. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Before he changed the password. Before he moved in, actually. He looked up those MAC addresses. Standard practice. First 6 characters told him what manufacturer made the device. All 3 came back the same. A commercial IP camera brand. The kind used in security installations. 3 cameras running continuously on his network for 14 months without his knowledge or consent. And then he saw something even more important. The earliest connection was dated 16 days before he moved in. Someone had connected these cameras to his network before he'd even stepped foot in the house. Before he'd signed anything. Before he'd met a single neighbor. Hold up. If this is making you angry, let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you believe what happened next is going to blow your mind. Share this video because this is the kind of story everyone needs to know. He walked his property line the next morning in early light, looking at every surface carefully. He found it on the back left fence post, the corner where his yard met the common area walking path. Small, weatherproof, neutral gray, the color of something designed not to be noticed. For screws he didn't put there. A cable running down the interior of the post and buried at the base. It was a clean, professional installation. About 45 minutes of work if you knew what you were doing. He'd walked past that post probably 300 times and never noticed it. He photographed it from 6 angles. Then he went to his neighbor Marcus's door. Marcus had been on the street for 8 years. He noticed things. When he showed Marcus the photo, Marcus went quiet. Then he said something that changed everything. She put one on my fence post too. They pulled Marcus's router logs next. Same pattern. Same MAC addresses. Same continuous connection. Same timeline. Everything matching exactly. Then they realized something terrifying. Neither of them had ever given anyone their passwords. Not Karen, not the HOA, not anyone. They checked the county permit portal. Every permanent camera installation on residential property in their county required a permit before anything went up. At their addresses? No permits. Ever. Then they pulled 4 years of HOA meeting minutes from the website. No vote authorizing cameras. No resolution. No homeowner consent. Nothing. 4 years of documents and the program Karen called community infrastructure didn't appear once. But Karen had asked him for something shocking. She wanted him to give her the permanent network password so HOA devices could stay connected to his private network indefinitely. She wanted access to his home Wi-Fi forever, as a condition of avoiding a property lien. She asked for this like it was reasonable. Like she had the right. He drafted his formal response. Disputed the $500 fine. Requested documentation of which devices had been connected, the legal authority for it, and the board resolution authorizing everything. He sent it certified mail. That letter triggered something important. Karen filed a criminal complaint with the sheriff's office. She alleged he had intentionally disrupted a security system using a specific state statute that covered interference with electronic monitoring devices. But here's the thing she didn't consider. That statute applied to systems that were lawfully installed with the authorization of the property owner. Lawfully installed. With authorization. A system installed on someone's property without their knowledge or consent using their credentials, didn't fit that description. He hadn't installed anything. He'd changed a password. I'm telling you right now, what Karen did next was the biggest mistake of her entire presidency. Like this video, subscribe to hear more insane stories, and share because your HOA president needs to see this. He called an IT security consultant named Joel. Joel spent 40 minutes going through 18 months of logs and built a complete timeline. The cameras had connected using the original network credentials, a password set before anyone moved in, obtained by someone who had access before the homeowner did. Under state computer access law, connecting devices to a private network without the owner's consent was unauthorized access. The cameras had never been authorized by him. They had no authorization anywhere in the chain. Joel provided a written, notarized summary with the specific statute cited. Then more neighbors started finding cameras. Diane found one pointed at her backyard where her children played every afternoon. 2 years of her kids being recorded without her knowing it, on a network she never agreed to share. The Patels found the same thing. 5 households. 5 cameras. All on private property. All connected without permits, without consent, without any official documents saying it was allowed. Marcus remembered something. About 15 months ago, Karen had sent a broadband assessment survey on HOA letterhead. It looked official. It asked residents to confirm their network names and speeds. In the fine print at the bottom, it asked people to optionally include their current network password for a direct speed verification test. That was it. That was how she had done it. She collected their passwords under a fake purpose that she invented. Marcus found the email in 2 minutes. Diane had it. The Patels had theirs. Everywhere was the word optional and verification. Nowhere was any mention of cameras or security systems or connecting HOA equipment to their private networks. He attended the county sheriff's office with everything organized chronologically. The detective was named Caraway. He reviewed the 18 months of logs, the MAC addresses isolated and highlighted, the 3 cameras identified by manufacturer, the connection running 24 hours a day for 14 months. He saw the first connection dated 16 days before the homeowner moved in. He reviewed the broadband survey with the fake purpose. He reviewed the permit search showing 0 permits. He reviewed 4 years of meeting minutes showing 0 authorization. He reviewed the statute Karen cited, with the phrase lawfully installed with authorization highlighted. Caraway told him the criminal complaint against him wasn't going anywhere. Then he opened his own folder. Karen had called 911 5 times in the past 18 months. Every call was HOA related. Not one had resulted in any action. 3 responding officer notes used the same phrase. No violation observed. The 4th call had a dispatcher flag. Karen had been verbally counseled about appropriate use of emergency services. The 5th call was his. A pattern of calls determined to be without reasonable factual basis, particularly after a prior counseling, met the threshold for a formal citation. A misdemeanor. Caraway had already processed it. Karen had handed the police a thread. They pulled it. And everything unraveled. If Karen was your HOA president, like this video right now, subscribe to hear about more insane HOA situations, share this because your neighbors need to know what's possible, and let me know in the comments what your own HOA nightmare is. Karen held an emergency meeting. She called it mandatory for all 94 households. She set up a table at the front like it was a formal proceeding. Karen in the center, Dale on her right, Patrice on her left. A map of camera locations. A timeline. A folder from the HOA attorney. She looked organized. She looked confident. She looked like someone who had already won. For the first 4 minutes, she had the room. She opened with the security angle. 94 families left unprotected because one homeowner had made a unilateral decision. Then Marcus stood up. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't wait to be recognized. He just stood and asked calmly, "Karen, can you show us the permits for those cameras?" The room went absolutely silent. Not polite silence. The specific silence of 94 people having the same thought at the exact same moment. Karen said permits weren't required. The cameras were HOA property. A board decision covered under security upgrades. Marcus said the camera on his fence post wasn't HOA property. "That's my fence post." 2 homeowners stood up. Then 2 more. Harriet, who had been there longer than almost anyone, raised her hand and said she'd found a camera and wanted to know who authorized it. Diane stood. "There's one pointed at my backyard," she said. "Where my children play every day." The room didn't go quiet. The room went the opposite direction. People started talking. Karen called the meeting to order and adjourned it, but 40 people didn't leave. They sat and talked to each other about everything they'd been accepting as normal that actually wasn't. Detective Caraway was there. He had come to get community context. He hadn't expected the meeting to go that direction. After, he asked our homeowner to bring the router logs to the sheriff's office. Our homeowner arrived Thursday morning with a carefully organized folder. He walked Caraway and a junior DA attorney through 18 months of documentation. He showed them the logs, the manufacturer identification, the timeline, Joel's notarized summary. He showed them the broadband survey and the fake purpose. He showed them the permit search. He showed them the meeting minutes. He showed them the specific statute with the phrase "lawfully installed with authorization" highlighted. Caraway capped his pen. "The complaint she filed against you is not going anywhere," he said. Then he handed over his folder. Karen had called 911 5 times. A pattern without reasonable basis following a prior warning. That was chargeable. That was a misdemeanor. She had built her entire system on 5 calls, 14 months of unauthorized cameras, and a fraudulent survey. And the thing that brought it all into the light was her own criminal complaint against him. The formal citation arrived on a Monday morning. Misuse of emergency services. Misdemeanor. Cease and desist on all cameras. 30 days to remove them. County code enforcement would verify on day 31. The HOA attorney sent a letter. The $500 fine was not supportable. Formally voided. The board should reimburse his legal fees. The new board, with Marcus, Diane, and a retired civil engineer named Thomas who had been waiting for exactly this moment, voted in favor of both reversals in 12 minutes. The Garcia's $800 windshield fine went to county review. Response came back in 11 days. No basis. Fully refunded. Kelsey's legal aid attorney filed to remove the lien. The HOA didn't oppose it. It was removed. Karen's resignation came by email. 2 sentences. She was stepping down immediately. That was it. No acknowledgement of anything she'd actually done. No explanation. Just quiet resignation after 6 years of absolute control. The first genuinely open board election drew 11 candidates. Marcus and Diane won by comfortable margins. The new board's first meeting ran 40 minutes. Marcus texted from the parking lot. "Half the street is still out here talking. Hasn't happened in 6 years." This is the end of Karen's story, and the beginning of justice. Like this video, subscribe if you believe in standing up to HOA corruption, and share this because your neighborhood needs to know that someone finally fought back and won. Let me know in the comments if this story changed how you think about HOAs. Thanks for watching. Our homeowner sat on his front porch that evening, the same porch where 2 officers had stood while Karen pointed at his house. The same boards, the same railing, the same quiet street. Someone 3 doors down had their windows open. A dog barked somewhere and then stopped. The neighborhood had a specific sound when people weren't afraid. Unhurried, unguarded, ordinary. Karen had said that router is connected to HOA property. It wasn't. It was inside his house on a hallway shelf where he'd put it 14 months ago. Connected to a private residential network registered to his name and no one else's. Doing exactly what routers do. Logging everything. Remembering everything. Patient and thorough in a way Karen hadn't anticipated. In the backyard, on the fence post where the camera had been, there was a small rust mark. 4 pale circles where the bracket screws had pressed for 2 years. He hadn't cleaned it off. It was a reminder of what documentation could do when someone finally decided to look.